welcome to our spoiler review of The Call by Peadar o Guilín. So this is the first horror book that we've ever seen with fairies, like true horror, like this is kind of disturbing and creepy. Usually fairies are like dangerous, monstrous, but ultimately they have some kind of redeeming quality if they're not just magical supermodels.
Yeah, because there's that trend in fairies, I think, that I've seen over the years where it's like, oh, you know, they're misunderstood, oh, they're kind of alien and they don't really understand, but you know, they're really, really sexy and attractive.
So the call starts when we find out what's been going on in Ireland for the past 20 some odd years. Basically, the island is closed off from the rest of the world. Nobody can leave, and anybody who does try to mysteriously vanishes. Kids, on the other hand, are going through an interesting time period in their lives. Anywhere between like 13 and 17 kind of age, they can experience something they call the call. And what happens is they'll be standing there just kind of doing their own thing, and all of a sudden they will disappear, and 3 minutes and 4 seconds later they will reappear. Usually when they reappear, they're dead and maimed in some kind of way. And what happens is the kids get transported to Fairyland, and they wake up with no clothes, nothing, in this dangerous, like, toxic kind of world.
And then they're hunted for sport. Yay!
Yeah!
So think of it like, if you thought the Hunger Games was dark, this is kind of darker because there's no winning, really, because if you get caught, you're gonna probably die, but you're gonna be tortured. But sometimes they let you live, but they're not gonna let you live like normal. They're gonna do something to you. Like, they're going to, like, on top of the ridiculous amounts of PTSD, they're going to change you, like, you know, put a hole in your chest, or like malform your limbs so that none of them match, or like enlarge a random portion of you.
It's like their weird, creepy ass form of art, almost. They've changed, like, in their world, like they're riding around on humans that have been turned into horses. One guy has like somebody turned into like a living cloak, and they're constantly in pain, and when they're in pain they turn different colors.
We make you pretty.
Yeah, it's freaking terrifying, but they're still also bound by the fairy rules of,
They can't lie.
Yeah, they can't lie, they can't break their promises, that kind of thing. So basically Ireland has no resources other than what they can gather on the island. Kids are put into schools where they are trained to survive the call.
The main character of the novel is Nessa. She contracted polio when she was young, so her legs aren't that strong. She has to walk around with crutches, so that puts her miles behind anybody else, because she has to find workarounds. So she's like super jacked on her arms. Like, she swings around, she like creates crutches constantly, and so she can like keep up with people for a short period of time, which is pretty cool. But everyone's just like, oh, you mean your parents are gonna let this happen to you? They didn't like
Kill you as a
child?
It'll be nice to you since you clearly only have short time to live. Basically, the novel is kind of about life at this school, how different people react to it. Everybody kind of has their own method of coping with, like, pretty much their imminent death. 1 in 10 survive the call. And also, weird things are going on at the same time as we're following these kids. Like, they find this weird fairy mound where there's like a half-formed fairy coming out of it who's dead. Also, schools are starting to be slaughtered. Like, you know, they just come in one day and everybody inside is dead because people live at the schools. They have no idea what's going on. So something is clearly up. The fairies are making their move. They're clearly not happy with the ancient pact that they made that banished them to the Fairyland. One of the main antagonists is a kid named Connor, who is, like, disturbing. In the nicest way possible. Disturbing is like a gentle way to describe him.
He kind of a little bit reminded me of Gaston from Beauty and the Beast.
Little bit, I can see
like,
that.
He's that kind of like alpha male, thinks he deserves the world, I'm the king of the castle, you're all my subjects, and he's like, I am going to, like, marry you because you are the best kind of deal, even though he can't admit that to everyone else because showing emotion or attraction to the cripple, aptly named Clip Clop, would be weakness. And so he's like battling this attraction and it's really kind of like screwed up and rapey and just like he makes you so uncomfortable.
That kind of like just goes up to Nessa one day and be like, it's okay, no one will know. And he like grabs her and she's like, what the f are you doing? Get off of me. And she like gets him good, like she punches him out. And then to like save face, he has to like he tries to hunt her down and like
murder her,
break her arms.
Well, at first he's like, I'm gonna break your arms, and then he's like, I'm gonna actually, you know, screw it, I'm gonna kill you, and if I make it look like an accident, that'll be fine. And it's like, well, we should take out her friends. He's like, no, we're only gonna be allotted one accident. And I'm just like, well, you're kind of smart,
but you're also
you're terrifying.
Yeah.
But it's nice to see that you have the brains to back up your evil.
Yeah.
You know,
but he makes you feel uncomfortable.
And so I liked that he survived his call and that like it was just like, of course, because he's like he's a psychopath. He's inhuman. He just like
he fits right in with the fairies.
So,
yeah, there is like almost like a near rape scene in this very, very grim book. Basically, he runs this group of the elite who he has gathered in the school.
He calls them his knights.
Yeah, and he's going to be king after his call because he's going to declare himself king and people will recognize his greatness and bow down to him, and he's not going to give anybody who's physically not up to his standards any resources, like no health.
It's very childish logic when you like think about it. It's like, buddy, yeah, okay, so you survived, but so did like these other people, like congratulations.
Doesn't make you
the king.
So he goes through his call and he like actually does battle his way through the fairies and he does really good, and so the fairies call out their champion, I guess, I can't remember his name, but you know, he's like, okay, well, I will do one-on-one battle with you, and if I win, I become king, and if you win, you get to do whatever you want with me. And the guy's like, okay, sure. And so he puts out his hand, and the big thing is once they touch you, they have power over you. And the guy's like, oh, okay, we'll shake on it. Puts his hand there, and the guy's like, well, I won. And you're just like, ugh.
But it's also interesting because, like, the fairy makes the deal with him, and he's like, okay, the one thing I want is I don't want you to kill Nessa because I want to kill Nessa. And I'm like, congratulations, asshole. You just, like, sealed your own doom.
Yeah, so he makes it through his call, and the big thing is the fairies want out of the pact they made with the ancient Irish. They want to be able to come back to the real world, and so what they need is a king
to revoke it.
Yeah, so they work with Connor to make him king. When he comes back, they have kind of like spies planted everything, and
I liked that. That was clever because it's kind of implied that a lot of people who survived the call only survived because they made deals that when the time comes, they'll help the fairies take over the world and regain Ireland again. And if they do this, their mutilations that they came back with will be fixed.
So they basically come in and they set Connor up as king, but the thing is, Nessa has been called at this time, so the fairies can't fulfill their deal with Connor until they get their hands on Nessa. So Nessa, like, does, like, very well for herself, and she's about to kill herself because she can't, like, keep them off any longer. And they're like, no, we will, you know, we won't do anything to you. You kind of disappeared in the middle of a fire in the house, so, you know, we'll just make you fireproof, and, you know, that way we fulfill our bargain with Connor, and he can become king and declare that the pact is over. So they make Nessa fireproof, and they send her back, but she's, like, one step ahead of them. She's like, oh, Connor, come here. I just want you to kiss me. And then she grabs him and she pulls him into this burning building. And that's it. The fairies are done. They can't do anything. Their attempt to gain the real world back has failed.
Because they mention that when they come into our world, as time passes, they shrink. So by the time, like, if they're here for too long, they kind of shrink out of existence.
I don't know if they shrink out of existence or they shrink back to Fairyland.
I think it was, like...
Out of existence?
Out of existence. Because it was like it was kind of spun as almost like a suicide mission that if they failed, they're, like, never coming back. And so that's why it was, like...
I don't think it's like that they're never coming back because they're still in Fairyland. There's still like enough of them.
Mm-hmm. But like for the people who left.
Yeah,
like
they're done.
Yeah.
So yeah, It was pretty intense. Like, I liked it a lot.
It was good.
I was surprised that it's put out by Scholastic.
Yeah, it's kind of dark for Scholastic.
Like
if this was like a Razor Bill, you know, I would be like, okay, whatever. But Scholastic, it's kind of pushing their, like, I wouldn't say they're wholesome, but like their family-friendly image.
Yeah, like I don't know, when I picture Scholastic, it's usually for like, you know, the 9 to 12.
Yeah.
But this is like definitely for directed at like 15 and up kind of deal.
It said, I believe, on the back of the book, grades 8 and up. I was just like, hey.
Alright then.
Woo. Cool. I wouldn't have read this in grade 8. It would have given me nightmares.
Yeah. Yeah, like, so, like, their characterization I liked. The villain was great. He was a very interesting villain. The fairies were suitably monstrous. And yeah, it's just like it's an easy read. So, if you have a chance to check out The Call, definitely do that.
Fairies, don't mess with them.
Never.
Ever.
Don't eat anything. Don't touch anything. Get out. So, tell us what you thought about this book. And we will see you later, guys.